Hey guys, Dirty Jamie. I'm actually watching some videos on canning sweet potatoes, and I am also canning sweet potatoes and yams. They're very similar consistencies, hardness. They're hard compared to normal potatoes. So I'm just gonna process them the same. I might even do a jar mixed, one of each. Why not? So I'll save you like a bunch of the watching the peeling and all that. I didn't boil them ahead of time, which does make them easier to peel. Some people boil them for like 2 or 3 minutes. I just peeled them, chopped them up. I put what jars will fit in my canner. I've got 5 quarts and 3 pints. I put 3 quarts of water in the canner. I kind of do that ahead of time while my jars are in there. I don't know, just feel like I got everything ready. And then we're gonna put these jars in the sink in hot water, nice clean sink. We're going to put the lids in another pot and get those nice and hot so they're sanitized and ready to go. We're gonna put the potatoes I have in a pot of water, heat them up. Lots of just getting everything hot before we start, and I'll show you that once we get all those ready. And then I'll also show you when I put them in the cans, and then drop them into the canner. All right, so here's things mostly set up. We've got the lids in here. I already boiled it. I just put the lid on and it'll stay warm. I turned it off. There's some water in the canner. It's heating up slowly. I've got it, kind of a medium low, I mean. This is water that I've almost got boiling to top off the potatoes. Here's the potatoes that I just dropped in some water to boil a few minutes ago. Now we're going to move to the table. We're gonna start taking jars one at a time on the table. I'm gonna set the potatoes right here and I'll start putting them in the jars. I'll set up the stand so you can kind of watch a little bit of that, but I'm not gonna bore you with it. So here's what I ended up with. I had way more jars ready than I needed. I had 2 full potatoes of each, 2 full sweet potatoes, 2 full yams, and I ended up with 4 quarts and a pint. I'm going to add a half a teaspoon to the pint, a half a tablespoon to the quarts, and I'm actually going to add a little brown sugar. I'm not afraid. And then we'll fill them full of hot water and put them in the canner. All right, I've got the headspace dialed in where I like it at about 1 inch. I've got some white vinegar here, and I am just gonna wipe the rim of each of these just to make sure there's no debris that's gonna keep the lids from sealing. All of these quarts are actually brand new and they came with lids, so I'm not worried about that. But I did have, and they're a small mouth or a regular mouth. This pint is a wide mouth and I have a brand new lid for that. But we're just gonna drop them puppies on there. And like I said, I prepared and they're a small mouth or a regular mouth. This pint is a wide mouth and I have a brand new lid for that. All right, so I have an All-American. I want to say it's a 21 quart, or it's a 20. The cool part about this is it's a bolt-on. I like the bolt-on because that's what my mom had. I just like it. And there's an arrow that you line up with this divot, and then you just get these on. I just kind of flop them all up and don't really tighten them down at first. Just kind of get them on there so they don't fall down. But then what I do is I just look at it. I look at the gap on each side, and then I'll snug down the opposite sides a little bit. Okay, that's pretty good. It doesn't have to be super tight. And then I'll do the same thing, you know, with the front and the back, and make sure it looks even. Okay, the lid's on, all the bolts are snug. Not super tight, you don't want to break the handles, but get them down snug and it'll build pressure. We've got 10 pounds because that's what my elevation calls for. And then it'll build up here to 10 pounds, which is about 240 degrees. And then we will start the timer for 65 minutes, an hour and 5 minutes. All right, guys, we're about a half hour in, and I went outside and bullshitted with my neighbor, and I wasn't paying attention. And it's a little over 10 pounds, but you know, it's doing its job by letting pressure off. But I came in and it was just steaming off like crazy. And so you have to adjust your temperature once you get up there. That sound you just heard was the weight letting pressure off. Once you get to pressure, it doesn't take as much temperature to keep it going. So if I just touch this thing, it's got quite a bit underneath of it. So yeah, don't space off like me too much. My biggest fear would be it would let too much steam out, which means I'm gonna run out of water. That's a bad thing, but I can hear it boiling. You might be able to hear it. And there you go. See, it's letting off some steam. And then you need to dial this temperature down a little bit. In fact, I think it's still a little high. It should be just letting that pressure off like maybe once every 30 seconds to a minute. And right now it's doing a little more than that. So I'm gonna slowly turn it down until I feel like it's at the temperature I want. My bad, I spaced off, it happens. Everything's still gonna be fine. All right, so they are out of the canner now. So when I was done, when it reaches the time, I wait for the pressure to go all the way to 0. Then I take the weight off. Mine's a weighted one, and I leave the lid on like so. It's resting on these little latches. It's open, and I let it sit for another 10 minutes to a half hour. To let the pressure go down, it's going to take 20 minutes to a half hour. But now I've pulled them out after all that, and they're still boiling, just so we're aware. But as soon as they're done boiling, then we'll watch them seal, and we're done. That's it.